Hey guys, welcome back. And in this one we're going to be looking through the Tower of Houses and the Elemental Towers and the sort of mechanics that you've got to look for in these dungeons, and a very easy to obtain team that can take you through all of them. Okay, so like I said, I've got one team that goes through it. It's a team of 5. It's the exact same team that I go through in my Wrath 10 2-star team. So that's the team of the Water Nymph, the Water Bird, the Wind Golem, the Wind Assassin, and the Wind Unicorn. Obviously these dungeons you're going to take 4 monsters in, and basically in each one I just rotate between the Wind Unicorn and the Wind Golem depending on which dungeon it is. Obviously these are just my 2-star teams, so if you have better units, throw them in. If you have a better healer, you can replace the Nymph, no worries. You've got things like the Water Tree, the Earth Valakor, the Water Holy Sister. Those 3 just make the game easy mode, so if you've got those 3 or 2 or one of them, throw them in. Earth Valakor is fantastic for speeding up runs. Basically just does double the poisons of the assassin on a lower cooldown, so he's a big one for speeding up runs. Any other units you have that you think might fit the role, just put them in and test it out and see if it works, and you might find something that works a lot faster. So the first one we'll look at will be Tower of Houses. So for this one, the big concern in this one is actually the stage 3 middle boss, which is the Fire Sphinx and the 2 Fire Nymphs. Now the big problem is that Sphinx does the AoE armor break and attacks on the same turn, and then they also get attack buff from the Nymphs. So the best way I found to tackle this was to bring the Wind Golem to this one. So you end up with the Nymph, Bird, Golem, and Assassin. And the idea behind taking the Golem instead of the Unicorn is that the Unicorn cleanses that armor break after it's on. And the problem is he hits as soon as he applies it. So the idea behind the Wind Golem is that you've got more of a chance to get the defense buff up before you've got hit, especially with that low 2-turn cooldown. So basically you still have AI derps, but between the Water Bird having 2 skills that put up mitigation and the Wind Golem having 1, and also the Water Nymph's blind, you're just maximizing your chances of getting that. Now I also have, in my roster I have the Earth Valakor, and I still prefer bringing the Wind Assassin into this one because I find the Earth Valakor dies too often in it. And another thing that's good about the Wind Assassin is it gives the enemies of that stage two monsters to target, being the Wind Golem or the Wind Assassin, because they're both wind, whereas the others are water. So you have a chance that it'll attack the Golem. Golem's tanky enough anyway to take the hits. Hits the Wind Assassin, can normally take a hit, and you've got those other mitigation options. So that's why I choose the Golem. The Unicorn would be more handy in the boss phase where he, kind of like the Wrath boss, gets a shield, but I just find I had too many times where I was losing a monster in that middle boss, so that's why I went with that team. The team's pretty slow, it's about a 9-minute run, but that's pretty much what you got to look for, just trying to get some mitigation up in that middle stage just to get through it and keep clearing fast. The next one I want to look at is the Fire Dungeon. In that one I've used the Water Nymph, the Water Bird, the Wind Unicorn, and the Wind Assassin. So this one I've put the Wind Unicorn in just because you basically just need cleansers in this one, because it's all about the dot damage. Even through the waves you've got all those elementals putting 2 poisons on you, that sort of thing. So the cleanse is really helpful. And then once you get to the boss, you've got the boss that applies poisons and armor break, I believe it is, and then one of the shield guard dudes deals massive damage, and the other one bursts poison. So it's just important to cleanse. It's not too hard. Like if you don't have a cleanser, it is a really hard dungeon. But between the Water Bird slowing them, reducing attack and reducing attack bars, and the Wind Unicorn increasing your speed and cleansing. Also, the Water Nymph's blind works really well for both those shield guards, making them miss. So it's actually a pretty solid team, and that does it in about 5.5 minutes. And my monsters are pretty well glyphed now, but I was able to do most of these when they weren't so well glyphed. Speed's a big thing in lots of things like the fire one, but yeah, like I said, you don't need these glyphs. And like my Water Bird and the Wind Golem, those two, they really don't need to be 5-star for this sort of content. The next one I wanted to look at was the water dungeon. In this one, I've used the unicorn again. So it's just water nymph, bird, unicorn, and assassin. Don't really need the unicorn at all. I just put it in instead of the golem because it gives you the speed buff, which makes it a bit quicker. If you're ever looking to do get books during a increased drop rate event, and you really want to just get as high as you can, I'd recommend doing the water one, because the water is by far the easiest. There's no real mechanics that you have to get through. It's just that if you don't have a great team, it just takes slower because it's more of a sustain thing. But the water's a great one during those book events, just to be able to get more books, because you'll probably be able to do a higher level of water than you will of anything else. But yeah, like I said, don't really need the unicorn in this one. If you have any other damage dealer, you can throw them in just to speed it up. But with those 4 units, my water was taking about 5.5 minutes. The next one I want to look at is the wind dungeon. The thing you got to watch out for in this one is at the boss stage. One of the harpies on the boss stage increases your cooldowns. So the reason I've put golem in on this one instead of the unicorn is this is the one dungeon where you really need to watch your nymph, because if you've got any other healer, you should be fine, because the nymph just has those low base stats. So with the increasing cooldowns, you got less uptime of your heal. You got, if you might not get your bird's mitigation up, but the idea behind the golem is that he's got attack bar reduce and the stun. So hopefully you can buy yourself some time, and also because his defense buff is on a 2-turn cooldown, he's got the most chance of getting damage mitigation up to save your team, and then hopefully you can get your nymph to resist 1 to put heals up. But it's pretty safe at the speeds I have my monsters. This one's sort of like I find like the second hardest of the elementals. Tower of Houses is annoying, but I don't think it's the hardest. Like, it's very common to finish that in a 3-man. Wind is hard if you don't have your speed up and you keep getting your cooldowns reset. But in the end, it's not too bad. My team does it in about 6.5 minutes. The final one, the Earth Dungeon. In this one, I go back to the Unicorn again, basically because this one I find to be the hardest. It's very annoying. The bomb mechanic for PvE when your enemies have it is very frustrating, because especially on these stages, on 2 of the stages, they have 2 of the Earth Elementals which put bombs. And the problem with this one is I run the unicorn for the cleanse, but if they go straight after each other and do a bomb followed by a bomb, it pretty much one-shots things. So this one's tricky. You might have to manual it if you really need those earths. Like my team does it, and it normally does it fairly well. At HP, I think in the run I did, my unicorn got hit by a bomb, and at that 11,000... about 11,500 HP, just survived. But it's a bit iffy. If your whole team gets wiped by bombs, it's just really frustrating. But take the unicorn there. They do often derp a lot, so they won't both put bombs on in the same turn, and then you're alright. It wouldn't be too bad if it was only that first stage, because then you could run something like an immunity, like a fire druid. But it's on the second stage as well, so your cooldowns are offset from each other. So it's a bit iffy, that one. This team takes 9.5 minutes to do it. It's actually fairly reliable, just because, like I said, they do often derp, but there's no really 100% way that I've found for this until you have much better glyphs. So that's the one. Hopefully you don't have too much earth to level up. But yeah, it can be done, and that's the basic mechanic. I know they are changing bomb mechanics in the upcoming patch. At least I hope they'll be in the upcoming patch, I know they are definitely looking into bombs. So hopefully that gets a bit of a look and makes it a little bit easier, because right now Earth is definitely the hardest. So that's about it for the Tower of Houses and the Elemental Towers. If you have any other tips or tricks that you use to get through these dungeons, please put it in the comments below and let everyone look at it. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks.